Piano roll, Drambo 2.0. I may be the man who shouldn't speak, but I'm still going to talk to you about it. But first, a celebrity endorsement for this channel?
Hello viewers of the Man Who Shouldn't Speak's channel. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger calling from a very rainy Los Angeles, where I currently ply my trade in California. I just wanted to say that I endorse this YouTube channel. I like iOS audio. My favorite used to be the Santa's Room, but then he said the word cool beans 5 times in 30 seconds, and I decided I didn't like him anymore. I cannot abide people who just use catchphrases again and again and again. I cannot handle it. So now my favorite YouTube channel is The Man Who Shouldn't Speak, and I recommend you listen to him. Get to the chopper, eyes!
So let's talk about the piano roll in Drambo 2.0. Originally, Drambo was only intended to kind of be a drum machine plus some melodic elements. That's what I found out by looking on the Audiobus forum. I had a quick look through parts of the original Drambo thread on there, which went on for a number of pages, and actually began 2 years before Drambo even came out. Was it 2 or 3 years? It was a very long time anyway. And in many ways, before it came out, Drambo was kind of the star citizen of iOS apps. Only a star citizen from an alternate universe, where it had massive feature creep, and yet eventually came out and was amazing. Hopefully that's in Star Citizen's future still, although I suspect it won't be. You'll probably be able to click on this video in 7 years, and that game still won't have come out. Anyway, returning to Drambo's piano roll, and indeed recording into the piano roll. As you can see here, I've loaded up a synth. So just a wavetable, analog filter, and an amp envelope, and yeah, I've just have a few of these. You know, you play around with a few of the modules, and then you save a preset. So if you have a look at, I'll just show you how to save a preset actually. If you have something in an instrument rack, and in fact, let me show you how to do that. If you click on instrument rack here, then that creates a blank instrument rack, and then you can add your oscillator. You can add. Oh, help! Too loud! Too loud! You can add your ADSR. Sorry about the volume there. I'll scroll across with my finger. You add a filter in between there. Where's the filter gone? There it is. And then you have a synth. At least you would if it was connected to anything. Ah, yeah, you have there. It's just very quiet compared to this instrument I have here. Let me get rid of this a second. Right, yeah. So once you have something in your instrument rack, then you can choose presets here and save it to a folder. You can create a new folder if you want, or you can just put it directly in the instrument rack folder, call it whatever you want, and then save it. That's how you create a preset in Drambo. Just a very quick interjection here. I'm not actually in the cathedral. I'm just in a larger room that has reverb, so if it sounds like I'm coming to you from the void, I'm actually not. Just very quickly interjecting to say about how to put something in an instrument rack. Actually, I'm coming to you not having connected up my mouse, so I'm just going to run over and connect up my mouse a second. I'm actually using my work mouse for this. You know, I think I will. I'll just buy myself a mouse. Okay, a personal mouse. Everyone needs a personal mouse, right? Let me just connect this up very quickly. Sorry about that. Right, okay. So here's my mouse. I wanted to talk to you about how to put things in an instrument rack. The way to do that is, let's say that we have our synth from before. So just our very simple synth. So Let's increase the volume of this track so we can hear it a bit more, but not too badly. Now, how do you put this in an instrument rack? What we actually want is for it to be in an instrument rack. We want it to be contained within here. We want it in there, and it's not in there, is it? Apparently, what will happen in the future is a suggestion that a couple of people and I made on the Beep Street forum, which, by the way, is an excellent place you should go to. We said that maybe you should be able to select various modules and then convert them automatically into an instrument rack. In Drambo 2.0 at the moment, you can't actually do that. So the way you put something in an instrument rack is you have to select all of the modules. Now, I'm going to select them with my finger. You have to hold and then drag, and then you select them all, at which point these options will appear. I'm going to hit cut, and then so at that point, if you place an instrument rack here, then if you click in the middle here, it'll say, oh, do you want to add some things? And now you can obviously just recreate what you had there before, but if you have something vaguely complicated, then you might be like, oh no, I can't be asked to create all this again. So instead, you hit the plus here, and you just hit paste. Everything that you had selected in terms of your modules, and either cut or copied, will appear there. And then you can just change the name. And then save that as a preset, as described somewhere else in my piano roll video, which is just about the piano roll. Okay, see, you get little nuggets of information in these videos that have nothing to do with the subject at hand, but hopefully just adds little things to your knowledge of how things work. Anyway, returning to the piano roll, which we are here to talk about, I promise. The old way of recording in Drambo was that you could use the sequencer here, so you could click on a note and then enter it like that. You could click more than one note together, which I will do here with my fingers. You could then place that on a step, and that would form a chord. And there were ways to look at the chord. The kind of UI for this has changed, but if I just give you a quick look at that, that was this view here. You would click on a step. It wasn't in the same place, but you'd click on a step, you'd be able to see the notes, and from here you'd be able to edit the notes and add these cool things called step components, which I will cover either later in this video or in a future video, but they're a very powerful feature. So that's how you used to be able to record into these sequences without actually having to do anything at all in terms of live record, or as previously said in I think it's my first tutorial video, you can live record in. So I'll just so that's how it used to work. But now we have the piano roll. I'll undo that last record and record something new in, and we'll see what we're working with in the piano roll. Now there is a keyboard here. As you can see, there are various modes for this keyboard. You can choose between the keyboard or drum pads here, and the drum pads, if I click on this Hamburger menu, you can choose a scale. We chose Phrygian because I love fridges. Then you can also choose 16 by 1, and that is that's the mode you want to choose if you want a scale keyboard where you can't play a wrong note but it looks like a keyboard. Then this is the one for you. If you want to record in Phrygian, you can change the root note of this as well, which is good. Yep. So let's. I will actually just go back to my chromatic scale and change back to the normal keyboard. And let's record something in quickly. Remember, we have auto grow record now, so that's great. And see what happens. Okay, reduce the volume of that a bit, and so you can hear me over what's happened. Right, let's move to the piano roll. The piano roll is located here, this left-hand icon. It's a feature that people have been asking for since Drambo was created, and it's finally here, which is wonderful. So as you can see, it's a piano roll. See, you've got C3 there. That's a note musical scale. C2 there. And then we can see here our notes. We can click on one bar and only see the notes for that particular bar. We can select more than one. We can select them all and see all the notes. We can scroll across by. There are various options for this. At the moment, I have this selected here, which means that I can scroll with one finger. I'm moving my finger across here. If I turn this option off, this arrow option, then scrolling with one finger won't work, and it will place a note automatically instead. If I have this off, you have to scroll with two fingers, which I'm not doing very well here, but which is probably why I turn this on. Okay, as you might expect, it's iOS, so you can zoom in, you can pinch out to see everything as you want, which is great. There is also, and this is what trips people up, and certainly tripped me up slightly before I worked out what it was. As soon as you know what it is, then it's obvious, but until then it's not. This note icon here, when you see it's two notes, if you tap on one of the notes that's already in the piano roll, what you'll hear is all of the notes in that particular column. So let's change this chord so that there's actually an extra note where the other note in this column here, where the other note is. You can drag a note out to a new length if you tap on its right hand side. Just make sure you're at a zoom level where that actually works well, because if I zoomed all the way in here and I just placed one note there and I was using my finger, it's not particularly easy to grab the right hand side of that note with a finger. So just zoom in a bit. You can zoom so that the horizontal is longer than it is normally, and that just allows you to grab the right hand side of a note. You can also tap the left hand side of a note and then move the note around, and I'll tell you about the grids in a bit. In fact, I'll do that now very quickly. If you carry on zooming in, then you'll see that the grid changes, and that's just your quantized grid really when you're entering notes. So here, for example, if I just tap a note here, then that note will respect the kind of grid that I'm currently in. So if I zoom in a bit more, then these extra lines have appeared, and now a note will respect that grid. Okay, let's move over to what I was planning to show you, which is the two notes here. If I tap on this chord, as you can see, there are now two notes happening exactly at the same time. If that's the case, it will even though you can only see one note being highlighted, what you may be able to hear is that it's playing these two notes at once, just to kind of preview them. And if I tap the note above, what you should find is that the sound's exactly the same because it's playing the two notes. Like that. The other modes for this are, if you tap on this again, then it becomes one note, and then even if there are two or more notes in a chord in the same note position, you will only hear one of them. So it's just really what you prefer. But if you're trying to construct a chord in the piano roll, then it's pretty helpful to be able to hear the entire chord. But there are times where you might only want to hear a single note, so that's kind of up to you. If you tap this again, then when this note grays out, that means that when you tap a note, you won't hear anything at all. So you have the option, you know, if you want to place notes without hearing anything, or you want to hear every note, or you want to hear the chords. Entirely up to you. So let's get rid of this note that I placed. I can't remember if it was this one or this one. Let's just play this sequence again. It was that one. Great. Next option in the piano roll is quantization. So I explained earlier that if you insert a new note, then it will respect the grid that you're currently in. It will be quantized to that, and when you move to extend or shorten a note, it will respect that grid as well. So as you can see here, it's moving like that. If you turn quantize off, then you're not restricted to the grid anymore, so you can just you can move it in much finer increments. So that is useful. I think my workflow for this is usually I'll usually enter a sequence, and then when I want to fine tune it, that's when I turn quantize off and kind of fiddle around with some note lengths. That also is the same for actually moving a note around. It will also be unquantized, so off the grid. So that's very, very useful. A useful feature indeed. Moving on here, this keyboard here, again, this is another, what does this mean? Is this note preview? Well, it's not note preview because we've already established that note preview is that one there. So what is this? What is this keyboard? What could it do? Well, if we have it on, if I play a note on the keyboard here, see, it moves the piano roll to the position of the note that you played on the keyboard. So that could be useful if you want to, if you're wanting to enter notes and kind of quickly find where you are in the piano roll. That's pretty useful because the only guide to that otherwise, you can see C here. You can see the C's, and when you tap on a note that's already there, you can, if you see on the left of that, you can see the note position there. So that is also useful, but you can't actually, if you're not tapping on a note, you can't see what notes all of these are. Now, this is presumably kind of a visual overload thing. It's kind of a minimalistic piano roll. Up here, depending on your zoom level, you'll see the bars in your sequence here. So even though we are focusing here, if we tap, we'll focus on each one, but then even if we only have one selected, you're not locked to that. You can still zoom out and see everything else. And of course, you can scroll, and how it responds is kind of with the arrow on here. If you tap, and I'll do this with my finger to show you. If you tap lightly, then you'll place a note. If you hold and drag, yeah, it's if you hold and drag at the same time. So if Drambo is recognizing this as a movement, which it isn't because I'm being brilliant. Yeah. So maybe this is why people turn this arrow off, is because if you have the arrow off, then every time you do one finger, you place a note. Every time you do two fingers, you move the piano roll around. So that's probably is for it. It's it has been, this arrow view has been reliable for me in the past, but just not when I'm recording this video, because obviously it's under pressure now. You know, it's like, oh, I have to perform. Oh God, and yeah. Anyway, next option is the Hamburger menu. Of course, we love Hamburger menu, and this just turns the menu options you can see here off, so that you can see more in this area. You can hit the arrow, and that will make the piano roll pretty much full screen. In fact, you can reduce the keyboard here and make it very much full screen, and all you have here is the track view at the top. You can change between the tracks. The final thing in the piano roll, and this is a very useful feature for chords, is the velocity editor. Now you can edit velocity if you tap on here again. You will return to the sequencer view. You can change velocity in a couple of places. One of them is a view that I'll show you either later in this video or an upcoming video. I'm not sure why I'm saying this. I should just edit this out, but it's kind of a thought process thing. Will just the video on the piano roll be long enough? Will it be, or will adding elements to it to show other views make the video too long? It's kind of in my mind. I'm kind of wondering what to do. I may well just do piano roll, but well, you already know. You've already looked at the video chapters, so you'll know if I talk about these other views or not. Well, where was I? Oh yes, of course. Velocity editing. So previously, if you clicked on a particular step in your sequence, then you would have velocity here that you could change. This was in another place. Was this in another place? Was this just not here at all? Was there no velocity view? This is one of the weird things actually about Drambo 2.0, is that you very quickly forget what previous versions were like, because this version works so well. It's quite hard to recall sometimes exactly how things used to work. I'm not sure this was here at all. I think you may have had to use the component view, and here you had a velocity editor, and you could change the velocity on there. But now we have this view. If you click on vel, then any notes you have in your sequence, you can change the velocity for here. But you can also do this, and as it's about the piano roll, I'm going to talk to you about the piano roll. But as I previously said about a number of things in Drambo, there can be 2 or 3 ways to achieve the same thing. But when it comes to chords, the piano roll is the view to do this in, because I'll tell you exactly why. I will place a chord somewhere here. Let's do a chord there in this 4th bar. If we head to this velocity editor, what you can see is that we have the chord here. You can change the velocity of the chord, but, and here's the key, the killer point, which is why you might want to use the piano roll for this. If you want to alter the velocity that you played the chord at, and you want to do it for individual notes, then this view, you can't do that. You could do it in the component view, because if you click on the chord, then it lists all of the notes, and then you can affect the velocities individually. However, obviously this view is usually a lot more convenient. But what you can also do, head to the piano roll, and we have this, we have have this chord here. Let me click on the Hamburger again and just check that we have note preview on for everything. You can select the velocity mode here. And what happens is... Oh, I just forgot to say one thing. That this keyboard mode here, where you can... It will move the piano roll view. If you have keyboard mode off, then it won't do that. And no matter how high you play a note, the piano roll view won't move around. So, sorry about that. I left that out. It's terrible of me. Let's move to a chord. So, if you have 3 notes of a chord, what you might want to do is have one note play softer than the other ones. And if you do that, this is probably the coolest place to do that, because you can adjust the velocity of every single note in the chord. And obviously you can also click on any, note that you've recorded individually as well and adjust the velocity of that. It's just kind of a very quick way to alter chords, which is pretty good, I think. One thing, and this is something that made me think I'd broken the piano roll last week, is when you have velocity on, note preview no longer works. If I tap on these notes, what's happening is it's saying, hey, you want to edit velocity. You don't want to hear the note, you just want to edit its velocity. So only velocity editing works. If you tap on a note, no matter what you have here on the note icon, it will still not play. So turn velocity off, and then note preview returns. Whoops. Oh dear. Terrible. So I don't know the velocity of that one again. Obviously the velocity of a note will be how you've recorded that particular note. So there are patches that you can make respond to velocity. There are things that have velocity on by default. Usually, if you turn if you're not feeling that you can feel a change of velocity, and the way you do velocity is if you play further up a key here, then if velocity is on, that will affect the volume of the note. If you do, or anything that you've kind of assigned to velocity in terms of modulation. If you have an amp envelope, if you turn a velocity up, then what we should find is that this note will become quieter as I move up the keyboard. And it is. That's good. I was kind of worried it wouldn't there. I was like, oh no, the shame. Also, velocity works well for pads as well. So, and here, a pad will become louder as you go up it. It's kind of, suppose it's kind of an ease of playing kind of thing, because obviously it's easy to tap a pad anywhere that you want, really. But when it comes to the keyboard, it's harder to play up there. So that's presumably why the velocity curbs, if you like, are the other way around for keys and pads. The other thing to say is that if you have a MIDI keyboard connected, then obviously that works in terms of velocity as well. So if you play your keys quietly, they will play quietly. If you play them loud, they'll play louder, as long as you've linked velocity up correctly. And that thought's trailed off. If we can only imagine what that was to be, it's probably something really profound. But let's move on.
There was actually another segment, but that'll have to wait because this video is running crazy long. So I'll see you all next time, and please, hit the bell, like, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. Cheers, guys. Bye.